Welcome to a new episode of our podcast, Lead the Future, Change the Conversation, an unedited, honest conversation to create the future. I'm Arjan Visser, futurist and your host, and join me as I chat with my friend Naomi Light about authentic leadership transformation. Naomi is a relationship coach and a couples therapist who empowers people to find and use their keys of future happiness now. Naomi, welcome to our podcast.
It's great to be here.
Immediately started thinking like how to find and use my keys of future happiness and use them today. So I'm really excited to have this conversation with us, the podcast about future happiness, leadership, authentic transformation, and really interested in your take from a relationships coach and a couples therapist. And I always hook to my core premise, and that's actually to start with who. Like, who am I becoming? Who am I going with to go further and faster? And who am I called to make a difference to? And I'm really interested in, well, my starting point would be to look at who we are going with to the future, and then especially in the context of our relationships, and maybe most importantly, our own spouse. But it easily could be our business partner when we are in this journey of figuring out who we are becoming. Probably everything is potentially changing. So what's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think about who am I becoming and who do I travel with? And how do I keep my spouse on board?
Yeah, I mean, there are three absolutely huge areas of thought and conversation. Let's dive into all of those. I think perhaps it might be helpful for your listeners to have context for, what I'm about, what I'm trying to do with my life.
Yes.
And I think it will weave into your kind of three questions that you've posed. So my journey to be where I am today and into the future got really defined and catalyzed about 8 years ago when I was sat with my husband, whose name's Nick, in the office of a couples therapist. And it was a excruciatingly low point in my life because I believed that our marriage was over. We've been in a long battle, probably between 5 and 10 years of really quite intense conflict, and tried everything, in the desperate attempt to keep hold of our family and 3 beautiful children and a life full of potential. But we were on our knees, and I had spent the previous year thinking, that's it, it's over, I'm out of here, pretty much had my suitcase packed, had a plan, knew where I was going. I can't do this anymore. And things started to change. We saw hope because our therapist was able to provide some structure for us and provide a holding space to say, this wasn't your doing, this is actually handed to you. The dysfunction you have in your marriage is a product of your past, the belief, the conditioning, the modeling you saw from your parents, the generational traumatic legacy that you live with. And because you were handed it, you can give it back. And there was a moment there where I sat in Jenny's office with Nick and thought, oh my goodness, I'm never going to be the same. And if I could do what she does for us, for other couples, that would be a life I'd be really proud to live. So fast forward 8 years, and I am working in private practice, and I have the privilege of working with beautiful couples who bravely face all kinds of really complex, difficult, at times seemingly hopeless and desperate, a bit like me, circumstances, but believe in themselves, believe in each other, believe in the power of connection. over disconnection. And I also try to create content and work increasingly on social media to get some of those tools and resources to people who maybe wouldn't ever find themselves in a therapist's office, but have a relationship that they really believe in and want to be the best it could be, want to bring the future into the present.
I love that. I love that. I love your story. The smile you have right now when you talk about like helping others to do this, but also what you say, like taking the tools out of the therapy setting, because they are life tools. They're not just tools when you're in a dark place. No, they are tools to be in a light place to accelerate.
Yeah, and I think pretty much anything can be used as a transformational tool if you've got the will and the desire to change. And in my experience, from my personal story, and I mean, I could tell this story a number of different times about a number of different situations in my life, you know, some of it really recent, but it is the pain of disappointment, of grief, of things not working out, of broken relationships, that often is the place of motivation, of you know, consolidation, of, okay, I am going to change. You know, I'm going to look inside, I'm going to look in the mirror, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to take a deep breath, because I just can't stay like this. You know, sometimes I think when we've got the luxury of comfort, then our growth really slows down. But in the place of, you know, discomfort, then we kind of have to. And I think my own journey of transformation, ongoing journey of transformation, about becoming the person who can realize the dreams I have for my life, the dreams I have for the industry I'm in, for the couples I work with, but also for what we can achieve as helping professionals and therapists in this new world order that we're in. Those kind of create discomfort, and it's that I think will always probably be one of the things that really propels us to do the hard work and to get off the automatic treadmill of, you know, this is how I've been conditioned, this is how it's convenient for me to be, this is the effortless automatic thinking, and actually to say, hang on a second, do I actually like what I'm doing? Do I like what I'm thinking? Is it working for me? And those are the, you know, I think anything can become a tool of transformation if you have that disposition and courage to question.
Yeah. Well, what pops to my mind is when we talk about the future and a future perspective, a lot of the time is actually spent in understanding who you are, where you come from, so that you understand what you need to clean up, so that you can prepare for where you want to go. And we tend not to spend too much time talking about that because it's the uncomfortable thing. But the relationship we have with our history is ongoingly rewritten. Not our history, but the relationship we have with it. Because what we perceive as reality, we know that actually is just a perception.
Yeah.
So if we want to rewrite our perception, we need to look at where we come from. And like you said on your introduction, it could be your personal story, history, but it also could be generational. And generational, I think, goes wider than your family lines. Generational is, I would nearly say, also cultural, as a society where we come from. And if you start to understand those bits and pieces, you know where to work on. And by that, you actually prepare more than with any other tool to perceive more clarity about what your future vision is. And
connection difficulty there, Arjan. I don't know if you lost me for a moment. I think I lost you.
Well,
We're back.
I saw a funny face for a split second. So
I think my connection probably wobbled, but we're back now.
the to perceive more clarity about your future vision, you already need to be able to challenge your perception of reality.
Yeah.
How easy do we say, but let's be real? Well, we can't because our history has influenced how we see things.
Yeah.
But you take it a step further than what I just reflected on. You say, no, but that also influences my behavior to my partner in such a way that my perception of the relationship and the state of the relationship, maybe my perception is wrong, or maybe I was nurturing it wrong.
Would it be all right for me to focus for a moment on the relationship we have with ourselves, because that is ultimately in service of the relationship we have with any partner, whether that's a life partner or a business partner. It's the foundation. And if I really want to understand my relationship, I start with myself. And I'm so with you in thinking about how perception is created by our sense of history and our sense of the story and the narrative we tell ourselves. And so that becomes the engine that drives us forward. And the antidote to that, I believe, and in the work that I do, is awareness. It's the awareness of self, the awareness of the other that comes as we clean up our awareness of self. And it's the ability to get more data into how we inform our sense of self, our awareness. And I think for me, and this aspect of this is particularly pertinent to the story I was just telling about how I got to be where I am right now and also moving into the future. The idea that we think we know ourselves because we have this sense of prediction, perceptual prediction of this, this is who I'm going to be and this is what's going to happen. But if we can interrupt that by becoming aware of ourselves in a new way and asking ourselves the really important questions like, who am I becoming? But even more simply than that, what do I want? It's a huge, huge, huge question. I don't know if any of your other listeners like me, I think this is classically women have this, but men too in a different way, in that we're so socially conditioned to be able to answer the question, what should I want? Or what do other people want for me? Or what did I used to want? What do I think that I want? Which is all a different question. Yes. The question, what do I want, is a infuriating, liberating, incredible question. And when I started to ask myself that, all around this time, my life was turned upside down with my marriage failing, I was genuinely asking myself that question, what do I want? What do I want to experience in my day? What do I want professionally? What do I want as a mother? What do I want as a wife? What do I want as a, in terms of my well-being and my pursuits and my leisure and pleasure? All these things. And it was that question that prompted me to pay attention to myself in a new way, where I discovered, I do get a sense of what I want. And this isn't it. I don't like that. And that took a long time for me to build, still working on it, but an authentic experience of my own desires, like own the wanting. Somebody I follow called Esther Perel, who's an amazing couples therapist, talks about owning the wanting. And I don't think we do enough of that. I don't think we give ourselves permission. Culture doesn't give us permission to ask the question, what do I want? Bravely, courageously, and then to own the wanting and the desires, because probably what you want, there's going to be no blueprint for it out there. You're going to need to make your own map, because there's no other you out there. And it takes, I think, a tremendous focus of attention. Energy flows where attention goes. And if
Yes.
we want to build that authentic relationship with self and actually fully inhabit ourselves while we're still on, living and breathing and on the planet, then we need an incredible staying power of attention to focus that down and in. When our attention is being pulled so hard out there on these people competing for our attention, we need the radical inquiry to be able to take the attention down and in. And so, I mean, I could talk a lot more about maybe where the answer to that question might lead you. What do I want? But it's it's certainly something that I think starts to answer that question of who am I becoming.
Yeah. 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 You trigger so much. How do I process this life without taking a time out? Well, one of the things, like when you say, what do I truly want? And you unravel what people in business always talk about, the Moscow, the must, the should, the could, and the would. Uh, and
Nice.
they use that to prioritize, but that's the external expectation. I heard you do it the reverse way. It's all about the would. What would I want, and not what could or what I should or what must. So not the external factors, but really deep inside. And and in our household, we recently had the discussion of like, I can write down what people expect from me, what they want me to want. It's already a little bit harder to write a list of what I don't want, but both don't give me the list what I truly want.
Yes.
And what I
Yes.
truly want is going away from the challenges I face and are way closer to deep desires that in many cases I can't explain, but they seem to be at the other side of the big gap of
Yeah.
impossible
Yeah.
compared to what I don't want.
Yeah.
I don't want list doesn't give me any insight what I do want.
Yeah.
And so I love it how you say, and that's how I try to like go really know the deep desires,
Yeah.
passions, drive that you have the inside, what makes you you, and that immediately, and that's a bit of a theme through all the podcasts. So like, okay, again, it starts with me, and with me, it's not selfish.
Yeah.
It's the best
Yeah.
investment I can do because it's the best I can give to the other.
Yeah.
So, which asks an investment of me, which is painful, but it's not selfish. Although I always hear so many people say, "No, it's not about me." Like if it's in stakeholder engagements or what, and we always say it is all about you because we first need to get the blind spots out of the occasion because then doors will open. So ignoring yourself and ignoring what you want takes you time on. That's a bit how I try to process this in a few minutes. So how does a relationship create that space to work on yourself while the tension is expressed in that the other is out of sync?
Yeah. So let's move into the whole world of relationships then, and try and do this in just a few minutes. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of theories. I am trained in a modality called PACT, the psychobiological approach to couples therapy, and we work with a concept of secure functioning, which I love. And the idea really simply is that relationship. The clue's in the name. It's like every couple is on their own ship, or let's think of it like a raft at sea. And as soon as one part of that couple starts to struggle, the whole ship is in trouble. And so what you need to do is to care for each other and become an expert in each other so that you can ensure the secure functioning of the unit of the couple. Smart partners understand, they become their partner's whisperer, understand their partner deeply, and that's got to be matched by a deep knowing of self, as I've just alluded to. And they learn their partner. They learn how to soothe them. They learn how to challenge them, how to contain them, how to manage them, how to empower them, how to help them fly. Because obviously that, that's a loving, self-sacrificial thing to do, but it's also the smart thing to do. It also ensures the survival and the thriving of the couple as a unit. And I think that flies in the face of the individualistic culture that we live in. And so many of the couples that come to me to work with me, have a very I-centric way of working. Well, I want this and I need you to do for this. And it becomes a negotiation. And in that negotiation, you always get a win-lose situation. Whereas in a secure functioning partnership, where we both come from the premise of, unless you win, neither of us win, then you have a win-win negotiation. How can I help you be secure, be safe, be loved? How can I help you thrive? And both couples make that their focus. And then we start from a whole new premise. So yeah, partnership is, I'm thinking about it. Obviously, I'm thinking about it at the couple level, but I know one of your questions about going into the future is, who do I take with me? Who comes with me into my future? And those partnerships, mutuality, I think, is something I'm really, really passionate about. And yeah.
I love it that in English, it's the word ship, relationship, ownership, leadership, entrepreneurship, and you're not alone in that.
Not a leadership. It's
Yeah.
a vehicle. Yeah.
In Dutch, it doesn't work because it's more like the word capture, holding is in. So it's very close. Only one or two letters different. It's called schap, but it's like, but that's more is not connected to ship. So I love it. That metaphor is such a strong. And also I immediately hear in your example how people start with it, well, I say they talk about what they want, but we've just learned through the last 20 minutes, they don't have language to express what they want.
Yes.
So they express an expectation based on something, but not on themselves.
Yeah.
And they have I would nearly say, foots in the sand, like, this is what I want. This needs to change, but that's not a want. That's an expectation. That's actually a must, if you say from the Moscow. It's the opposite.
And there's a couple of incredible features of relationships that I'm always in awe of that are particularly relevant right now. And one is the idea that we can see each other in ways that we can never see ourselves. You mentioned blind spots earlier. And there is something really beautiful. I try to work, when I'm working with couples, I try to work as collaboratively as possible, and and often cross-reference partners, because there's something beautiful that happens when one partner goes, really? Do you think I'm like that? I do that? And the other person's like, yeah, this is what you're like. And they have a clarity of being able to see, because it doesn't come with the filters of perceptual prediction that we talked about before. It doesn't come with that history that you know so well and you automate so efficiently. So that's a beautiful thing to see when the partners are clearer and know themselves better because they're together. And then the other thing, which is the psychobiological aspect of the work that I do, is that in terms of stress management, problem solving, tiredness, fatigue, illness, all of anything, talk about anything that creates stress, two nervous systems together are more efficient than one on its own. So you and I are better at regulating each other. We call it interactive regulation, bit of a long word, but just you could say calming each other down, especially only if we're connected. than I would be or you would be on our own.
Yeah.
And so it's another way why it's really the smart thing to do is to think about my unit, my couple unit, as a life raft, and we're either going to sink or swim together. Because if I get really good at this interactive regulation with Nick, and I learn how to soothe his regulation system and down regulate his stress, and he does the same for me, we're going to find our lives are just so much easier, and we have so much more time and energy for pleasure and fun and all, getting done all the things we want to do. So I mean, it just never ceases to amaze me, incredible human design, how we are designed to be in units, in pairs, in groups, and we're so much better. It's my goodness, it's the biggest challenge of our lives. The biggest challenge of our lives. The hardest project we'll ever undertake is this project of really loving and knowing somebody else. But my goodness, is it a beautiful thing when you see it happening and when you have secure functioning in couple relationships.
Yeah. So what do we take away from this?
You tell me. You have to see past my blind spots, Arjan.
I think that's definitely the first answer. You make sure that Naomi is on your friends list, because this is, like you say, that what makes us human is the relationship. And you mentioned like it's self-sacrificial. Maybe that's how it's experienced, but listening to you, there is no sacrifice in this. It's all investment. It's investment in yourself and in the other. So there is a more than a double win. So that it's growing fruit that is beneficial for others as well. And if you are in a leadership position, which I believe we are all, we have to lead ourselves first, but then you want to be a blessing for someone else. So the blessing is only the fruit, the tangible fruit, the physical fruit that comes. And the relationship is maybe one of the most fertile grounds, way beyond innovation or product design or problem solving, to nurture and bear fruit way beyond just consuming it, making it a lasting blessing and more than a ripple effect for the environment that we all, as people with a future vision, like if you talk with people, they all talk about, I want a society where people flourish and really know who they are and contribute from that place of authority and authenticity, so that the ripple effect will be there, that society will expand in being that renaissance era. What you just said, that starts with relationship, that starts with knowing who you are in relationship with someone else. Well, she helps you to see who you are, but it's mutual, and it's I would say it's different than the sum of the parts, because it's way more than just the sum.
It is. Yeah.
That wraps it up for me.
That does. I love that. You've managed to pull together these, quite heavy topics we've talked about in a lovely summary.
Yeah. We need to talk more often. And
we do.
Because I really believe, like last week someone said, oh, you're futurist, you talk about trends and technology. I said, no, I'm a human-centered futurist. It's all about human. And the relationship makes it different from machines, robots, animals or trees, or whatever else communicates. So it's the relationship that sets us to a unique opportunity to serve each other for mutual growth and transformation.
Yeah. And it just feels like what we're able to talk about here, because of the lens that we're coming with, it's like the first principles of life. It's, if it doesn't work at this level, at the relationship I have with self, the relationship I have with my most important other people, then like, let's give up, because it's not gonna, it's not gonna work at every other level. But there's so much about, we've got to start where we are. We've got to become who we were meant to be. And we've got to start at this very small and maybe nobody else will notice, but you will notice, and your energy will notice when you begin to put into practice these first principles, of how do I show up, how do I take care of me and the, people I'm spending life with.
Yeah. Well, for our audience, we have to say sorry because we're going to continue our conversation in the green room. But for everyone else there, I'll just want to finish like, not if something resonated, but I know something resonated with you in our conversation. And if you're really serious about your personal growth or your self-leadership development, then I urge you to connect with Naomi, connect with me, and just explore with us what it means for you, to invest really in actually the biggest contribution you have to life, society, future, and your relationships is actually you. So don't ignore it. Just use the invitation. businessrevivalist.com/connect. You can set up a short call to just get you rolling. So don't let this trigger just pass by. Naomi, thank you. Thank you for our
Thank you.
conversation.
Thank you, Arjan, for having me. As always, it's a complete joy to speak to you.
Likewise. So let's continue the conversation. Bye for now.
Take care. Bye-bye.